Am I the asshole for giving my friend a phony potential baby name so she'd quit asking? Throwaway for privacy. A good college friend of mine, Roxy, married my husband's cousin, and our kids will share their last name. We're now in our late 20s. I'm 29 weeks pregnant and Roxy just gave birth to her first, a daughter. Being friends, Roxy and I compared notes, but she also kept asking what I'd go with name-wise. I told her she'll find out when my baby comes. Once I found out I'm having a boy, no, I won't say his name, she got more incessant about what girl name I'd picked, saying, "It's not like it matters now," as if I won't have another kid. I got annoyed and asked my husband if I'd be wrong to just give a fake name to shut her up. He suggested, Mierda, which is Spanish for shit. I said that to Roxy when she asked me for the 9th time. No exaggeration, that's how many times I remember her asking. It may have been more. They went with that name, but guess what? Their OB-GYN speaks Spanish, and informed them exactly what that name was. My husband's cousin called me to cuss me out, saying I am a heartless b for embarrassing him and Roxy, and ruining what should have been the greatest moment of joy in their lives. I didn't think of that angle and realized I wouldn't like it if someone did that to me, so am I the asshole? Edit. Wow, this blew up. For y'all asking, I wasn't trying to be petty, I just wanted Roxy to stop annoying me. I thought she'd look it up and laugh at the joke and not actually name her kid that. We're not talking right now. I'm gonna wait till she reaches out, and that may be a long time. My husband told me that if they try to yell at me again to hand the phone to him, since it was his shitty idea, and he'll clean up the mess. He didn't expect them to use it, either. I can't get back to each and every one of y'all, but I appreciate the support. Glad my husband's joke made some of y'all laugh, and maybe Roxy should have taken the cue. No. You didn't know she was going to steal the name. If it wasn't a bogus name, and you gave the real one, I'd be pissed they used my girl name. So no, it's on them. They should have looked into the name meaning before actually deciding on it. I was picky about names, looking at initials, thinking of nicknames, alternative meanings, etc. They were lazy and stole a shit name. Not your fault. Let me get this straight. She bugged you and bugged you to find out what you'd name your potential daughter with the clear intention of stealing it. No one can really steal a name, but it can still be an asshole thing to do. And then got upset when it turned out you were joking, kinda. That sounds like her problem. If she really cared about the name, I think she'd at least look up what it means before deciding on it. That's why I think she only wanted to use it to spite you. Stupid games, stupid prizes. Not the asshole. They went with that name, and no one on Reddit was surprised. Not the asshole, she earned it. Not the asshole. So her plan was to steal your fake baby name, and that's what she gets. I would laugh in her face and hang up on her. Ha 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 ha. Not the asshole. She was basically asking you so she could steal the name. She got what she deserved. Also, she doesn't really sound like a friend. Am I the asshole for refusing to help my neighbor and her 2 young children when their wipers were frozen? I, 59M, live in a major city in Ontario, Canada. I live in a small subdivision and have 5 neighbors total on my street. For the past few years during the winter, when we're getting a lot of snow or a bad storms, as I'm leaving for my overnight shift at around 8–9 p.m., I'll put my wife's windshield wipers up on her car and do a quick walk around to my other 5 neighbors and put their windshield wipers up on their cars. Obviously not if they're outside or something, but if it looks like they're in for the night. Many of them forget to do this, as many of them have children, and it typically slips their mind, and their wipers will be frozen to their car in the morning. It's just something nice I like to do to look out for my neighbors. They're all always grateful of this and thank me for it. Many of them started doing it too, and there will be nights where I'll forget to put mine and my wife's up, and in the morning one of the neighbors has done it for us. Anyway, recently one of our neighbors moved and a new family moved in as of last week. It's a young couple and their 2 young children. The other night I was leaving for my overnight shift at around 9 p.m. It was snowing really heavy and we were supposed to be getting almost 30 centimeters of snow and it was freezing out. So I put my wife's wipers up and do my usual quick walk around to the other neighbors. I was hesitant when I reached my new neighbor's house, as I've only introduced myself once, but did it anyway. As I was putting the second wiper up on their pickup truck, the husband came charging out of his front door yelling, "Hey, what the f*** are you doing to my truck?" I tried to explain to him I was just putting his wipers up to help him. He continued to scream at me to get the hell off my property and don't touch my shit again. The wife then came out and started yelling at me too. I apologized and started walking away. Some of my other neighbors heard the commotion and came outside to see what was happening. They tried explaining to him too that it's just something we do. Both of them wasn't having it. Fast forward to this morning, I'm arriving home from my overnight shift, and as I'm walking in I see the wife of this couple struggling outside to break the ice off the windshield wipers of the truck. Guess she was trying to take her kids to school and the wipers were frozen solid on the car. She sees me and yells over, "Hey there. Do you mind giving me a hand please?" I look over to her and yell back, "No sorry. Thought I was to never touch your shit again ma'am," and walked back inside. She yelled back at me, "Wow aw. Told my wife about this, she thinks I should have helped her because she was just trying to get her kids to school. I disagree as I was just following what they told me. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole for refusing to help. I understand why the neighbors might have had the initial, "What the fuck get away from my truck" reaction, but that's only excusable for like 30 seconds. Once you explained that you were trying to help, and they saw that literally every other car had the wipers up, they should have at minimum apologized for yelling at you. Even if they didn't want to accept your help. It's good to refuse help to people who rejected your help, especially for the exact problem you tried to help them with. They'll either solve the problem themselves or learn not to shout so much before getting the facts. Not the asshole. I understand if they just saw a random person touching their vehicle and freaking out. But once you explained and the neighbors also explained to clear up misunderstanding, they really should have apologized. They got what they deserved with frozen wipers in the morning. Not the asshole. The fact that she can cuss you out the night before and then turn around and expect you to help when you already tried is baffling. Info. Where did they move from? Not the asshole. Bad karma's a bitch. She just found out what happens when you bite a helpful hand. Info. Did you experience any enjoyment of her plight? Your answer would not affect my vote. Not the asshole. Life so rarely hands you these little moments where you get to see people get their due. You should appreciate those occasions where it happens. Keep doing you and don't touch their property. Am I the asshole for not wearing makeup to my best friend's wedding? My phone has been blowing up since this happened, so I'm sorry if this seems a little disjointed. I'm super frazzled right now, but I really need a wider opinion since nobody involved can agree on who messed up. I, 27F, was picked to be the maid of honor at my best friend Joe's, 28F, wedding which happened last week. I was so excited. We've been friends since we were kids and had already agreed to be each other's maid of honor way back then, but that didn't make it any less exciting. I helped Joe pick out my dress, my shoes, etc., everything except for my makeup. I don't agree with wearing makeup because I think the beauty industry is misogynistic and because it makes my face break out. I don't shame anyone else for wearing it, but I just don't wear it myself. Joe knows this and told me that it was totally okay to go makeup free, which I was super grateful for. I had thought that because Joe was okay with no makeup, it wouldn't be a big deal. Most of the other bridesmaids as well as Joe ended up going very heavy on the makeup, so I kind of stood out. I'm not self-conscious even though I don't wear it, and the other bridesmaids didn't mind that I wasn't wearing it, so I didn't really mind. The wedding was very beautiful, and went perfectly until about halfway through the reception. Joe's groom Henry, 35M, pulled me to the side and told me how inappropriate it was for me to not be wearing makeup. He said that I was upstaging the bride at her wedding and that a woman shouldn't be going to a public event without makeup anyway. I felt so terrible. I really hadn't intended to take any attention away from Joe. I waited until after the wedding to text Joe and say that I was sorry for not wearing the makeup, and that I had heard her message loud and clear. She was super confused, and said that she really hadn't had a problem with it. We talked on the phone and I told her what Henry had said to me. She was furious and said that she hadn't put him up to that, and that she had been very clear that she was fine with my choices. She and Henry got into a huge fight and she's been staying at my apartment for the past few days while she tries to figure out what to do. Henry and his friends have been texting me non-stop about how I ruined his wedding and his marriage, and even some of my and Joe's friends are saying that I should have just worn the makeup and that a wedding wasn't the right place to make a political statement. Joe is insisting that I wasn't in the wrong at all and the bridesmaids plus Joe's mom are on our side. Everyone in my life that knows about this has some kind of bias, so I want to know whether I was actually in the wrong. I really hadn't intended to make a political statement or anything at the wedding, and I would have worn the makeup if Joe had asked me to. I feel terrible for hurting Joe's marriage and tainting her memory of her wedding even if she still doesn't think I did anything wrong. Am I the asshole? Info. What kind of look did Henry go with for his wedding makeup? Not the asshole. The bride was fine with you not wearing makeup. That is the only person whose opinion matters. Everyone else can go pound sand. Not the asshole. And it's a shame Joe didn't see this side of Henry until after the papers were signed. Not the asshole. He ruined his own wedding by being a sexist that thought it was appropriate to reprimand a woman for not conforming to beauty standards. Joe didn't care, and that's all that mattered. He can take several seats. Not the asshole. You are never obligated to wear makeup. This is very sexist. No way you're the Am I the asshole for telling my in-laws we want nothing to do with being parents to our nieces? I 21 female have been married to my husband for 6 months, we've been together since we were 15. My husband had a drug addict older sister 26 who has 2 daughters of her own, ages 9 and 6. We've only met the girls a few times. No one knows who the fathers are. My husband's sister passed away 3 weeks ago, and the girls are currently staying in a foster home. My mill was pressuring for us to take them. You see, we really could, we have the financials and the space, but I just do not desire children. Neither does my husband. I feel as though I do not have the sensitivity to be a mother, and it wouldn't be great for us nor the children. I tried explaining this to Mill, but Mill says you do for family, and that she would take them if it wasn't for Phil failing health. I basically shut it down, and she kept on going how they would spend their lives in the system, and how we have good potential to be great parents. I finally cut her off and said we want nothing to do with being parents to our nieces. Mill got upset, hung up the phone, and hasn't talked to me since. She keeps sending my husband articles though on statistics of children in foster care and telling him we could have prevented this. My husband and I have talked about it, but we just honestly don't want to. We don't have the time, and we're simply just not parent material. They'd have a better life in foster care. Am I the asshole? Foster parent here. Not the asshole for setting boundaries, but do not justify it by saying they are better off in the system. No, they aren't. We finally adopted a child who had been run through the foster care ringer. It's very, very difficult to help children who have been rejected over and passed through numerous homes. Imagine their pain at knowing family doesn't care. They won't be better off in the system. They'd be worse off, especially as girls who aren't younger than 4. Not the asshole for setting boundaries, but the system ain't nice and many bounce from abusive home to abusive home until they're kicked out at 18. Nah, but seriously doubt being in foster care is better for them. Also don't blame grandma for wanting the kids kept out of the system. You are the asshole for, they would have a better life in foster care. You have every right to say no, but do it openly and honestly. Don't sugarcoat it so you can live with a clear conscience. They would not be better off in foster care. The odds are not good for them, not good at all. This is tough situation and I see where Mill is coming from, but it's also not healthy for kids to be parented by people who don't want to or don't have the emotional capacity to be parents. Kids deserve a home where they are wanted. I wonder if a compromise can be reached where your husband can help out more with FIL's care and Mill can take the kids? I definitely think your husband needs to take the lead too in communicating with his mom, his family, his problem. Leaning towards no assholes here because it's just a tragic situation, although your Mill sounds quite pushy. Anyway, with a drug-abusing mother, I'm sure those poor kids have already been through the ringer.